the prequel to the iconic TV series The Sopranos was finally released. Again, there's another thing that was kind of put all over the place release-wise because of COVID, and it's set against the backdrop of the Newark riots during the 1960s and how mobster Dickie Moltisanti influences a young Tony Soprano as he comes of age. And I'm not going to lie, like I'm kind of a mixed bag on this movie overall. I feel like there were certain things that worked, but I feel like there's a certain weight to the show to this film that I was expecting because of the fact that it's, quote, a Sopranos story. But again, like the fact that it's a Sopranos, it's a follow-up to, or it's weird, it's both a prequel and a follow-up to The Sopranos, like that's kind of an impossible act to follow because I just finished season 4 of The Sopranos and so far, it's a perfect show. Like, changed my mind. Like, it's an amazing, amazing show. Nothing that anyone could ever put out would be able to compete with The Sopranos, but at the same time, given the pedigree of this film, the fact that it has so much to do with The Sopranos, the fact that so many writers and producers and directors came from The Sopranos to make this film, I was expecting the Many Saints of Newark to at least be able to compete with The Sopranos, and I'm going to be honest, It doesn't.
Well, I mean, for me, it is... This is going to be interesting for you to hear. So, when I saw the trailer, I wasn't too excited. I was like, I'll see it. I'm not that much. I haven't seen The Sopranos, so I don't know too much about it. To me, when I saw the trailers, it really looked and felt as if it was going to be some sort of origin story for, I guess, the main character in the series. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, like I said, I never watched The Sopranos. So I wasn't that interested or intrigued by this movie, but after watching it, I really liked it. I actually really liked it. And I did not expect to like it as much as I did. Mainly because of just the raw and grittiness of just how it felt with the family, with the the stuff going on in their neighborhood. To me, it just felt so raw, and that I enjoyed it a lot, and it felt so it had a certain rawness that I really liked. That anything happened, I'm actually somewhat on the edge of my seat a good chunk of the movie because it's like I don't know where anything is going. It really took me for a loop in certain ways, and I really liked it, and I liked how you got to see almost a bit of the psyche of, I guess, the uncle of this, I'm already forgetting names, but like, I kind of saw that, he didn't want to be this type of man, but he's slowly becoming it. And again, I liked some of the parallels that are drawing between. I liked the family drama to a certain extent, and you just see how some of the characters broke down in their own ways. And again, I did not expect to like it as much as I did. And you know me, Joe. So
that's really interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say that's really interesting that you say that. And it's funny, going back to what you're saying about, like, quote, rawness to the film, I felt it more with the original show. So if you think this movie was raw, watch the original show.
Like I said, I haven't seen The Sopranos, so
and honestly, oh, dude, it's, oh my God. I can't sing enough praises for that show. Yeah. I wish I only watched it sooner. But, it's funny too. Like, I'm glad that you haven't seen the show yet, and I've at least seen most of the show, because, like, I'm glad that we're able to have both sort of perspectives for reviewing this type of movie. Because we could at least see, like, okay, as of something that's outside of The Sopranos, or, excuse me, as someone who hasn't watched The Sopranos, would that someone be able to enjoy this movie? And I guess in your case, they have, because, like, honestly, I was watching this too, and after I'm done, I'm like, you know what? I have an odd feeling that you're not going to be able to enjoy this movie if you didn't watch The Sopranos. But I guess, you proved me wrong there. But, like, one of the complaints that I have with this movie is that
I do
the story
agree with
at times felt a bit unfocused. Like, even though it definitely, even though it shift more to Dickie Moltisanti's story instead of Tony Soprano's, like it seemed to advertise, it didn't really feel sure as far as, like, which direction it wanted to go in, even though it definitely leans more towards Dickie. It definitely drifted more into Tony's story at certain points where it felt unfocused, but still. And again, like I said, it felt very strange that Tony in a lot of ways got brushed off to the side because again, this is definitely
exactly, and this is where I was actually a bit mixed too when I was watching. So I was like, okay, the marketing and the advertising, the trailers made it suggest that it's his story, but it's really his Uncle Dickie's. And I was just like, you know what? But even then, I really liked how things unfolded for Dickie's, Uncle Dickie. So because I was like, man, this is just so interesting to see how in the beginning he was this guy, and at the end he's just like who he didn't want to be. And I found that really interesting, and I really liked it. And even certain revelations, seeing, I guess, the mentality and perspective of the different class systems of, I guess, the the Sopranos, in their time, and even the wealthiest to a certain extent to people that are trying to come up and be wealthy, that sort of thing. Really almost a black and white thing, kind of literally, unfortunately. But again, I found that very interesting and drew me in. And even certain moments with facial expressions and people seeing each other in a certain way, I'm like, is there something there? And then I get confirmation. It's like, okay, oh man, it's about to get heated. So I was like, I really like this movie. I really did.
Yeah, good. Like I said, I'm a mixed bag overall. Like there are things that worked and there are things that didn't. Like, going back to what you're saying about Dickie Moltisanti, and again, like how this definitely seems to be more of his story. One of the things that I felt was really interesting about Dickie is that like he's volatile, but he's more measured too. You know what I mean? There's like a measured volatility to him. And the explosive moments really snuck up on me. Whereas if you watch the Sopranos TV show, like so many people, like so many of the characters, like, they're ready to explode. You know what I mean? Whereas with Dickie, like I said, it really snuck up on me. So like having that contrast to like all the other Sopranos characters that I've known and really come to enjoy, like that was really cool having that. Performance wise, like honestly, I can't say there was really a weak note. I think performances were pretty strong across the board. Alessandro Nivola as Dickie Moltisanti, I thought he was solid. Michael Gandolfini as a young Tony Soprano, obviously the younger version of the role his late great father James made famous. I felt like he wasn't given much to do, but in the moments, in the scenes that he did have, I thought he was solid. I thought he did a really good job. And one of the things that I really loved, again, this is as someone who loves the original show, there were a lot of ways that certain performers in this film mirrored mannerisms from characters from the show. Like you have Corey Stoll as Junior Soprano, you have Vera Farmiga as Livia Soprano. There were just like a lot of times where I felt like in the way they said certain things, in the way they moved and looked at other people, like it reminded me of their characters in the show. So it really shows that they gave a lot of attention to the roles that they were trying to, I guess, recreate in a way too. So I really did enjoy that. But at the same time too, they didn't necessarily feel like just impressions either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Overall, for me, really liked it. Really freaking liked it.
And then I did like how this movie definitely had like gritty scenes, but like I said, there's a certain edginess and weight that I was expecting that I didn't get, again, because of the Sopranos. I'm comparing this show to what I'm used to with the Sopranos too, so maybe that's not entirely fair. One thing I really do have to say though is that as far as like the visuals, I loved the visuals in this movie. The cinematography is gorgeous. Oh man, like there's a lot of like memorable imagery in this movie. I love the production design and stuff too. So like as far as like recreating like that scene between like, again, from like a visual standpoint to all like the historical context that they put in the story, like that I thought they did really, really well. I like that a lot.
Absolutely gorgeous. And to me, weighty and impactful, even in just the frames they've made and everything, almost every second of the way. And it's like, to me, almost a good chunk of the film almost had meaning and actually felt like things were going forward to a certain extent, mainly because of the disfocus, I guess, between Tony Soprano and Uncle Dickie, and how those two kind of just felt a bit, not necessarily isolated, but just jumbled a bit and unfocused, because it's like they want to develop one side, especially with Tony Soprano, but then they don't continue going forward. Because I thought my initial thought, especially in the beginning, was like, oh, we're gonna get that, basically what we saw, and then the second half was gonna be, oh, it's gonna be more Tony, or I guess a different character's focus and perspective. But it wasn't what I expected. Which to an extent, I guess I liked it, but at the same time, again, from just a bit of a structure and narrative, at least a bit of a pacing wise for me, it definitely fell off in certain ways. So.
Yeah. And again, staying on the topic of the narrative too, again, the film definitely showed Dickie's relationship with Tony, right? And it definitely shows him having an influence on him to an extent. But it's not like it didn't really show the moment where Tony goes from a rebellious kid to organized crime soldier. Like, there wasn't a moment in this film where I'm like, okay, it's obvious that, like, they care about each other. He cares about his Uncle Dickie, but I didn't see a moment there where I was like, okay, this is the moment where Tony decides to go into the mob. You know what I mean?
But yeah.
But then again, that's a moment that I was expecting too. And again, there were certain references to the show that I did enjoy, and there are certain like emotional tie-ins that snuck up on me at the end that I did enjoy, which I thought I'm like, okay, this is well done. But again, like that, I guess, quintessential moment for like when Tony decides to go into, quote, the life, and to take that oath, like that didn't really click, which is, again, I thought that's what I was going to get. And I feel like we should have gotten it with how they were advertising this. But yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Now, just out of curiosity, after watching this movie, you have HBO Max. The Sopranos is on HBO Max.
I do but not at this current moment because I just have other shows I'm watching.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I feel like there have been so many times where people say, like, oh, you got to watch this, and be like, I got other stuff to do, too. I got other stuff to watch as well.
Like,
it's on the to-do list, I swear.
Like, I have so many shows on my list that, Sopranos, like, am I interested in seeing The Sopranos now? Yes. Is it high on my list? No. It's very low at the bottom because I just have other shows that pique my interest a bit more. That's just simply how it is, so.
Which is fair. And again, for all you guys that are still with us, what did you think of the Many Saints of Newark? Does the Sopranos prequel actually justify its existence? Comment wherever it is that you can. And just like that, that's it for today. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, YouTube, and so much more. And follow our social media pages in the description. And we'll see you next time.